It's just the way I was taught, it's the way I was brought up. Do the damn job right, or don't do it at all. I push my people to do the best they can all the time, not just sometimes. I want to make the finest product on the planet. We're working to very close tolerances, and it's very hard to do that. Every blade gets honed after heat treatment in here. This is a diamond honing internal hone. We get the pivotal and the thumb lug hole honed to a precision size. So we have a go, no-go gauge. That is 0.1577. That's 157 thousandths and 7 tenths. That's the no-go. This is 157 thousandths and 5 tenths. So there's 2 tenths of a thousandths between the go and the no-go. All right? And the same applies to the large one. There we have about 5 tenths of go and no-go. He puts it in so that it either goes or doesn't go. Okay? And then everything, we know that that hole is the correct size. Even the thumb lug hole, because we've got our thumb lugs are an interference fit. That means that the thumb lug is ever so slightly bigger than the hole, and then we force it in there. If it's too big, it's going to break through here. Okay? It's going to crack out here. So we've got to control it very, very precisely and make sure that it's the right amount of interference fit. If it's too small, this hole is too big, and we don't have enough interference fit, then the thumb lug is going to fall out. The customer's not going to like that. Everything's got to be precise. So here we do a lot of the finishing of the blades to get our stonewash finish on. It's known as a rotary finishing machine. So it has 4 barrels in it, octagonal shaped barrels. It'll run at 2005 RPM. So it's like a big old carousel going around, and it'll create up to about 6.5, 7 Gs of force. Yeah, don't worry about it. So we put a little bit of water in, a little bit of soap to act as a bit of a lubricant and degreaser. We developed that finish back in about, I think, 95, 96. Around about that time, a lot of people were bead blasting blades, and that lays the metal open to corrosion. I started looking for a better process. And, we ended up coming up with this stonewash finish, we called it, which was kind of dull but semi-non-reflective, and people really liked it, and so we've kept it all these years. So it goes through two cycles. We've got the rough media and the fine media, so 20 minutes and then 10 minutes in the fine media, and it'll give you that finish that I showed. All of our folding knives, the little chamfer that you see on the edge of the blade here, that just gives it that little finished look. All of that is done by hand on this little machine. So we come on and put it on like that. That's another little touch that we put into our knives that adds to the cost, but it just gives that little bit of little pizzazz to the knife that makes it a little nicer. So this is trace and Trace puts the knives together. Trace will just slew a bit sideways there, Trace. He will fit a knife together to make sure that the lock and you get a nice smooth motion to the knife, so you get that nice sebenza feel, no side movement. See. Each screw is torqued to a specific torque. Gets the feels the detent, make sure the detent is correct, that it's not too heavy, and then the lock comes across to the correct. So now he's going to fit a lock. He's going to take a very small amount off that face so that the lock, once it's in the blade, comes across to the correct position. Okay? So he's going to machine off of that face. This is a little surface grinder, and all right, go for it. So for every blade, we have one of these fixtures. So what he will be doing now is, so he'll put the washers on, the thrust washers, a little bit of grease, and now he'll check for the feel in the handles. So now he's going to make sure that it's not too tight, not too loose. So not every one goes together absolutely 100%. This is the most critical point in getting a blade correct. He feels for sideways movement, the right flop down. See that there was a little bit of side movement. So it takes a little bit off the pivot. It's about 1/10 of a thou. Just a little bit. Takes about 1/10 off. Crazy. So this is the attention that every single knife gets, and this is part of what you're paying for in one of our knives. When the knives get assembled from Trace, then they put them here. That cover goes on. Then I check the knives and make sure that they lock up properly and everything is right, and then I give them to Debbie. She wraps up the handle, then they go for sharpening. After sharpening, they come back to her. She takes the handles off, the wrapping off, and then the thumb lug gets pushed in. Then they go for final cleaning, and that's what she's doing here. Is Debbie's doing the final clean. Make sure that everything is really nice and clean. The titanium gets a little coating of WD-40 to darken it up and make it look nice and aesthetically pleasing, so the customer gets a nice clean, brand spanking new looking knife. You know, I'm not here all the time, so I can't inspect every single knife, but I try to look at it as many as I possibly can, make sure that the quality, and I catch quite a few goof-ups there. Why do these knives cost so much? $300, $400, $500 folding knife. Most people that come into the shop and get a tour through who don't know my knives and come in for the first time, they ask that question. Well, once they've been through and then they see what goes into these knives, they come out and they say, wow, that's not expensive at all. But if you want to make it right, if you want to do the job properly, that's what you've got to do. Because that's what gives you that longevity. That's what gives you a product that will last 20 years in your pocket.
The winner of the Blade Magazine 2012 Manufacturing Quality Award is Chris Reeve Knives. Chris Reeve Knives for the company's entire line.
We're here again. I don't know how many this is now, but... Thomas, are you counting? Better to think twice about something and then only cut it once than cutting it too short, then having to go and cut it again and wasting the piece of material that you cut that was too short. It's a play on the old carpenter's adage of measure twice, cut once. I grew up with my father telling me that. I've made that mistake many times. It's always better to think a little bit before you go and hell-bent for leather and cutting things and trying to make things. And it applies to your life, everything. Before you go and buy a new car, think about what you're going to do, what you're going to buy, how you're going to buy it. Think about everything that you do in life. It works.